Hello, this is Tony Heller from RealClimateScience.com, setting the record straight about climate. This video is about the year 1918, when people didn't have to manufacture crises. They had very real ones to deal with. August 7th, 1918 was the second hottest day on record in New York City. They reached 104 degrees. There was a massive heat wave in the eastern U.S. for the entire month of August 1918. This map shows temperatures on August 7th of that year. The red dots show temperatures over 90 degrees, 32 C, and the pink dots show temperatures over 100 F, 38 C. As you can see, there were 100-degree temperatures from California way up into New England. A day earlier, on August 6, 1918, may have been even hotter. Temperatures in the Midwest during August 1918 were over 100 degrees almost every single day, reaching 113 degrees on August 4th. Compare that to this year where there have been no 100-degree temperatures in the Midwest. But despite the fact that it was one of the hottest months on record in the United States, people didn't talk about it a lot because they had real problems to deal with. It was near the end of World War I. This is the front page of the New York Times on August 8, 1918. Even though they'd set their all-time record temperature a day earlier, they don't even mention it on the front page. World War I was a terrible war, and it kept everybody's attention. Tens of millions of soldiers died. This week in 1918, there were more than 15,000 U.S. casualties, including 6,000 deaths. There's massive burial grounds for American dead who never returned home from World War I. The most famous of these being at Flanders Fields. In Flanders Fields, the poppies blow between the crosses row on row that mark our place, and in the sky the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw. The torch be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with those who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow, in Flanders Fields. World War I was horrible, but it wasn't the worst thing that happened in 1918. Soldiers returning from the war brought home a terrible strain of flu. This flu mostly affected young people in their prime and dropped them like flies. 20 to 40 million people died in that flu pandemic, the worst pandemic in world history, even worse than the Black Death. Compare 1918 to now. People are now living longer, better, and more comfortably than at any time in human history. But they're too comfortable, so people are manufacturing fake crises like the climate crisis. The men who never returned from Flanders Fields didn't give up their lives so that people could throw away America's freedom 100 years later. Also in 1918, the great American philosopher H.L. Mencken explained what's going on very clearly. He said, "Civilization in fact grows more and more maudlin and hysterical. Especially under democracy, it tends to degenerate into a mere combat of crazes. The whole aim of practical politics is to keep the populace alarmed and hence clamorous to be led to safety by menacing it with an endless series of hobgoblins, all of them imaginary." I saw this principle in action last week. I attended the first public hearing of the House Climate Crisis Committee. I've never seen such a bunch of hysterical nonsense in my life. Not a word of what these people were saying had any basis in reality. The House Climate Crisis Committee was exactly what H.L. Mencken described 100 years ago. Apparently when people don't have real problems to deal with, they manufacture fake ones. The problem is that the solution to their fake crisis is to manufacture a very serious one. When the reliable U.S. energy supply gets shut down and replaced by totally unreliable green energy, we're going to have some very serious problems to deal with at that point. It's up to all of us to prevent this disaster from happening. We all need to get involved and get the CO2 endangerment finding from the EPA overturned. That baseless finding from the EPA is what gives them the legal authority to shut down our energy producers. If you value our country's past, our future, and your children's future, we can't let that happen. Visit Toto on the web at realclimatescience.com. He's been pulling back the curtain on junk science, propaganda, and organized crime for a long time.